Hey friend, welcome to the Get Rooted in Health podcast. I'm Gabby Flater, a faith-led wife, mom of 3, certified nutrition consultant, personal trainer, and passionate about changing lives. I know how frustrating it can be to navigate the health and wellness world. You want to be motivated to prioritize your well-being and wish you were more educated when it comes to cultivating a healthy home. Maybe you're a mom who's completely burnt out and needs a fresh perspective on life, or you're searching for a place to feel seen, heard, and encouraged in a godly manner. No matter if you're doing the dishes, getting your sweat on, or drinking reheated coffee while watching the kids play, there is always an opportunity for growth. If you are ready to finally take action about these desires and are ready to learn, grow, and transform your mind, then you are in the right place. It's time to establish deeper roots so you can enjoy a more fruitful and fulfilling harvest. Let's dig in. Hello and welcome back to the Get Rooted in Health podcast. My name is Gabby and thank you for tuning in this week. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so thankful that you're here. And if you have been around, awesome. I'm so glad that you're still here. Before we get into today's topic, which I'm super excited about, I had tuned into a virtual live event earlier in the week with Tony Robbins, if you've ever heard of him, and Dean Graziosi, and then they had done this event with Matthew McConaughey. Yes, the Matthew McConaughey. And I just was super intrigued by it was free, but full of, I know the kind of content that they're going to give is just priceless. And so not having to pay, but to listen to these people is just, this is how you grow. This is what I've done, is I just find all the free things that can just fill my mind with the things that are going to help me grow as a mom, as a wife, as a leader, a business owner, just in life, be a better human, and just have a better outlook. So I just wanted to share, I took a couple notes, but one of the things that I just thought was, you probably are like, well, this is a no-brainer, Gabby, but do we actually follow this? One of the things that was said is the brain believes what you tell it most. And I know that's not like rocket science, but I was like, dang, that is just so true. And so often we forget about it. And it's so good to remind ourselves, like, hello, brain, like, what have I been telling you? No wonder I can't get out of my funk, or no wonder I can't develop this new habit, or no wonder I can't, work past this hang up I have with a relationship or just something. We tend to be the person that gets in the way of what we want. We tend to get in our own way. And it's because we keep feeding our brain probably lies or just false things that we think are true, false truths almost. Like, we believe it's a true thing, but it's not. But it's like a false reality of things. And it's like, no, we have to dissect it, and it causes us to get uncomfortable. So I just wanted to challenge you, just be wary of what you are training your brain to believe, because that's how you're going to show up. No wonder you're showing up the same each day and you're wondering why I'm not changing. Like, okay, where are the small points in your day when you keep telling yourself, I just can't lose the weight, or, oh, I'll start eating better tomorrow, or I will, whatever. It has to do like around a workout, or I'll start that business idea, when I have more time. Like, when are we ever going to get more time, guys? Probably the most time we ever had in our life was back in 2020 when the world shut down. We had more time on our hands than we knew what to do with, right? But it was still the same amount of hours in the day, right? So just know what the brain believes, or the brain believes what you tell it most. So if you're believing the things that are being sold on the news, then that's what your brain is going to automatically be wired to process, and and it might not be true. And so you just have to know, if you want to feed it the things that are truth, you have to do that. What's the word? Intentionally. You have to be intentional about it. So, just be aware of that. And that is what I wanted to share. So, one of the little things that stood out to me So the brain is powerful and it makes connections. Whether or not you believe it or you recognize it, the little subconscious things are because we have fed it the same mind, the same thoughts, the same habits over and over and over again. So it takes intentionality to break that, to restructure it, to retrain the brain to think differently. So there is that. Okay, sort of going into, it kind of correlates just how the body works altogether. I know that I have shared a lot on, not a lot, but like I'll share frequently, like when we are popping into the chiropractor for a visit, whether I've shared a post on social media or just in my stories, and in just talking about it with my friends. I had someone, a couple of people who are like, you should do an episode on like what is chiropractic care or the benefits of it for like your kids or whatever. So I just want to put a disclaimer out there. I have some really awesome and amazing chiropractor friends who I use as big resources in my life and for my children. I am not a professional, certified, trained chiropractor myself. So this is all going to be basically my general knowledge and understanding of it, what I have researched, my experience in the last 6+, I've been going consistently the last 6 years since I've been pregnant with my first, who was born in 2017. And then just in talking with chiropractor friends of mine and, asking for some resources and just general help. I do hope, I have a couple ideas running through my mind, but I do hope to bring on one of my friends, our actual chiropractor right now. We've had a couple different ones in the past, but I want to bring her on so that we could have an actual like conversation about it, and I could pick her brain and she could talk because she's the professional, and be able to explain those things better for me and for you so that you can understand it. So like I said, I've been going regularly to the chiropractor since being pregnant with my first he was born in 2017. So I've been going in 2016 throughout my pregnancy. I learned a lot of the benefits about it from a birth class that my husband and I were taking, and I just learned how important and valuable chiropractic care was, and it made sense to me. So I found one who was certified in, it's called the Webster technique, and that is just someone who is more knowledgeable in the area of women and children for carrying a woman through pregnancy and post-pregnancy, and then just pediatric care and things like that. And there's so many different tiers and levels, but Webster technique would be what you're looking for if you're looking for someone who is skilled in that specific area of chiropractic. There's all different kinds for all different kinds of needs, because we all are different and need different things. So I will also be sure to link to a handful of things and resources and a way that you can search for, chiropractors in your area for your need. So I will be sure to pop that in the show notes for you. And again, this is all based on a lot of my experience, and I'm not going to say that chiropractic is what has been the one thing that has made us healthy, and like I believe it, but like I'm not going to tell you like you just need chiropractic care. Like I'm not here to stand on that and put my foot on it that like this is the one all and be all kind of thing. This is my experience. I do believe in it, and I do believe it can help when it is brought alongside a lot of other healthy lifestyle factors. I wouldn't assume that chiropractic can it can't just fix and take care of everything, but it definitely fixes a lot of things that people are going to the doctor for, or thinking they have to take a pill for, or whatever. Actually, no. Now I remember. Now that I'm thinking back, I went to go see a chiropractor to help me, I think, get pregnant. I'm pretty sure, or was it post? See, this is where my timelines, this is my mom brain right now, guys. It was either before my first or in between my first and my second. They were both hard to regulate my cycle, figure out my body. I used to be on birth control, and when I came off of that, my cycles weren't regular. So I was seeing a natural doctor to help me. Surprisingly, got pregnant with my first out of, like, it was kind of like a surprise. Like, we were wanting to be pregnant, but it was a surprise. Like, whoa, it happened. And then between my first and my second, I was struggling to get my cycle back, and just learning the benefits of chiropractic care. I'm pretty sure that's when I got it too, was mostly between my first and my second, to help with that. So we'll go with that. So yes, I definitely had used it to help regulate hormones, my body making connections, my brain and my organs and everything, like, working, having good communication. Just trying to help my body come alongside it best I can to support it so that it could eventually get into rhythm and figure it out. So again, that's just where it can be used for a lot of different things and be beneficial. I grew up a few times going as a teenager, but it wasn't like anything consistent for me until later in life. Like I said, I learned about it when we took a birth class. And then just learned about the Webster technique and how it would be the best to, I wanted the best pregnancy. I wanted the best success of having a natural birth. And if this was something that was going to be of help, then yes, sign me up. So that is what I chose to do, to support my body as best as possible. And I would say, I've had it through all 4 pregnancies now, that it's been wonderful. They are able to help manipulate the pelvis when I have any low back pain. Just helping manipulate some of those things in those areas and just opening it up and creating space for the baby and for my body to be in good alignment, because, your body shifts and goes through so much. The woman's body goes through so much when, having to carry a human life inside. There's so much that goes on. Speaking of human life, I just had to go get my newborn. So if you hear little noises in the background, I'm hoping that she'll just be content here in my arms and everything. So we're just going to keep rolling, because this is my window to try and get this in while some of my other children are being occupied. So newborns and my children. So after, throughout my pregnancies, had it, okay. I've had it myself. So then people, they wonder, like, how do newborns, like, why would you take your newborn, why, your young children to a chiropractor? Like, what is it that they need? Why is it that they need chiropractic care? And when it was explained to me, it made sense. I remember in my course, in a class that my husband and I took, that they explained how newborns, when they're born, when babies are born, or even just even having whether it's vaginal or C-section, it's a lot of trauma both on the mom but on the baby as well to come out. That's a lot of force and a lot of pressure on their little brain and their little body when they come out. So sure, a lot of things are corrected through just the amazing way our bodies are designed and the way birth is designed and all of that for it to, I was reading some other things, just how like it helps give them their first adjustment as all the pressure and all the things coming out, like it just pops everything right into how it's supposed to be. But it also, just the amount of pressure it puts on that upper neck area, the neck and brain and all that stuff, the cervical spine and the upper area, it just goes through a lot. And so I wanted to set my children up for success right from the get-go, and same with me. Like, I wanted to have a really good breastfeeding success with them. I wanted them to, hopefully not have like colicky babies. I wanted them to be healthy and things. Oh, she's filling her pants. You guys got a lovely little present in this show. Excuse you. We're going to keep it raw and real here, guys. And yeah, so just knowing that, okay, yeah, that makes sense that their body goes through a lot of trauma themselves as well, makes a lot of sense. So I wanted to, try it out and see what it looked like. And people are like, oh my gosh, so are they like cracking your baby? Like, how do they do chiropractic care? Like, don't they have to like crack your spine and twist and turn your neck and all the things? And I'm like, actually, no. Like, my experience has been, they're very, very subtle. I mean, my chiropractor has said, just think of like how you would handle a tomato, like just little small press. Like, you don't want to bruise the tomato, you don't want to puncture the tomato, but it's very tender and sensitive on the outside, and if you were to drop it or push on it too hard, you're going to pierce it, you're going to hurt it. Like, so just think of the gentle touches you would have to apply to just apply a little bit of pressure to like a tomato, or just something like that just made a lot of sense to me. I'm like, oh, okay. So they just manipulate the spine and the muscles and the nerves surrounding an area that they find needs a little work, by just light pressure, little wiggle, little rubbing up and down or whatever, just holding a pressure point. And that is honestly what they do with children. So if that makes any sort of sense, they call it, I think I wrote it down. Let's see. Yeah, it's just when it's out of alignment, it's a spinal manipulation when they apply a certain, oh, bless you, little force to the spine to help with better alignment. So that is just something that I wanted to clear, that people aren't thinking like, oh, how does your baby receive, chiropractic care? I thought that was like kind of intense. So I learned along the way as well, and I'm still learning, but it's just been amazing. It just blows my mind that you can apply just such little pressure and little movements and use some of their little tools to create such a healthy body for babies and infants and toddlers and children. Like, it's crazy. So that is what it looks like more for newborns and children. It's just little pressure points, little massages, nothing forceful. It's not hurting them. The only reason my babies would cry is just if they were uncomfortable from just like not being held in my arms or out of their car seat, or maybe they have to poop now, or like, it's not because it hurts them. But you can tell sometimes. I could tell when my child was feeling what they were doing to them. They're all of a sudden their eyes would like lock in to like the chiropractor, or like you could tell they were relaxed, or they were really focused on what a pressure was being applied, mainly by their neck and upper area. But they check the hips and the joints and the bones and all the things. And honestly, I've used my chiropractors as my basically our healthcare, like our pediatrician. We don't really go and see her. We don't go in if we're healthy, and we just continue to maintain our health through things like chiropractor care, and they're moms too, and so I'm comfortable asking my chiropractors like questions and saying, hey, we've had this going on, thinking it might be this, what are your thoughts? And so it's just been super comforting. I hope that everyone's experience with their chiropractors could be the same as mine. So in general, chiropractic care, its main focus, so for both adults and children, in all-encompassing explanation, its main focus is on allowing the body to heal itself, which I'm all about. Like, let's find ways to support how the body can heal itself rather than put a Band-Aid on it, right? And I would assume you guys want that for yourself too, but sometimes it's so hard to navigate and figure those things out. And so it also cares for the person's neuromusculoskeletal system. That is a big word, which is the bones, the nerves, the muscles, the tendons, and the ligaments. It is able to help focus on all of those based on what the person is needing. So you can help manage back and neck pain through the use of spinal adjustments to maintain good alignment. I've definitely noticed even just after having Estella, my last, I had some major back issues, which obviously is super normal, but I just felt really beat up after that. Like, it was a really fast labor. I think I really just threw out my back, and the hospital beds are not even comfortable. So I remember going in for an adjustment 3 days later after having her, and it was amazing. By the end of the day, I was like, wow, I feel better. And the next day, I felt a lot better, obviously with some more healing and time and rest. But I could tell that the adjustment helped kick my body into better healing mode for sure. And I knew right where to go. I knew I needed to see her for her to help me. So, and just like I was saying, it focuses on all of those functions of the body, your bones, nerves, muscles, tendons, and ligaments. And so all systems of your body depend on optimal function. And so when the nervous system, let me say this again. Chiropractors help all systems of the body because it depends on optimal function of the nervous system. So all systems in our body depend on optimal function. And when things are out of alignment, they can't communicate. We can't perform in an optimal functioning body when things are not able to fire and connect and communicate. And so if you think of just a pinched nerve, the communication is going to stop somewhere and it won't be able to get through to the rest of where it needs to go to make the connection elsewhere in the body. When things are not flowing in the flow they're supposed to, when a spine is out of connection, out of alignment, things aren't flowing the way they're supposed to. So if you just think of a straight line and then there's a little blip and it's offset, the line is not straight anymore, and something could not flow fully through the entire line or through the entire pipe, trying to give you a visualization. There would be a stop. And so we don't want that. But it happens so much from just how we have to go through life with our bodies. And so if we can help better support our bodies in communicating with its whole self, then that is the goal, right? So chiropractic focuses on the spinal manipulation to apply force to a joint in the spine to help with better alignment. So again, it's very minor for little babies and things like that. I have also seen as they have gotten a little bit more past the newborn stage, there's this really cool it's so cool, this little thing that my chiropractor will put around her neck. It's like a little necklace, but it has like a little section for the head. It has a little padded section. And if you think of if you know anything of chiropractic care, when they pop up the table and they apply pressure on you and then the table pops down and then they lock the table back up so they can allow some pressure and force to happen as they're trying to manipulate. So there's this little thing that you can sit the baby up, you can put the baby on your lap, and this thing is hanging around your neck, and you just pop their ear inside of it so they're sitting sideways, and you pop the little tool out like you would pop up the table for the adult that's laying on it, and then you would use your hands to push on the baby's face to apply pressure as you're pushing the ear inside of this little tool that's hanging on their neck, and it pops in, it clicks back in. Pop it out, and then you apply pressure on their head to click it back in. And it's super gentle, but it does the same kind of thing, and it's super neat just to see how that works. So, as I've continued to go over all these years, I've only just been more and more convinced that it has helped my children be healthy, and reading about it as well has only confirmed that too. So many new parents' concerns for their children, are going to be, keeping them comfortable, having them sleep well, good digestion, a good, healthy, strong immune system, coordination, and if you're breastfeeding, wanting a really good breastfeeding journey. Sometimes some kids struggle with that, or the tongue and lip tie stuff, and Maybe they only favor one side because their neck is not comfortable on the other side wanting to nurse. And so something's out of alignment and you need to have that adjusted so that they're comfortable nursing on both sides. And having healthy digestion and all of the things, as clearly you could tell Estella had with her nice little gas that she had released there. Yes, I'm talking about you. And yeah, and I hope that I can be a testament and a proof and give hope that this has been amazing for my children and that it works for children. I will say, and I don't again want to make it sound like because we've done this is why we have not had this, but I want to hold a lot of confidence in knowing that chiropractic has helped a lot. Because I know that even if you do receive chiropractic care, things still happen. I'm not afraid of kids getting sick or things happening. It's going to happen. But I know where to go for sure when things do spiral and our health is taking a turn and we're dealing with things. But we've never had an earache. None of my children. I always hear about kids having ear problems, earaches, all of these things. And I've never once had a child struggle with an ear infection or an earache or any of those things where they needed their ears drained or needed to be put on antibiotics or whatever they have to do. I've never had to look into it because I've never needed it. And I've been so grateful because I know that those are just not fun at all. They are awful for your little ones, and it's not fun to watch them go through it. It's hard to support them through it because they're just little and they can't communicate things, and you just want them to be comfortable, and you're trying to support them through that. My kids' immune systems they're just rock stars. They're so good. We get sick when we get sick, but it's not consistently sick. It's not anything crazy. And honestly, most of the time, my 1.5-year-old, she'll be 2 in June, but right now, lately, I think it's just teeth. When teeth come in, they get kind of funny. They get the rosy cheeks. They get a little bit of a fever, runny nose. And so I'll tell my chiropractor that. And she'll feel like, oh, she's got some knots, hanging it around her, neck area as she's kind of massaging it. And, I'm like, she's probably getting some molars, so maybe you can just help, drain some stuff that's going on in there, and we'll massage the sinuses a little bit and help those get flowing. And, she's pulled on her ears, which I've noticed is something too that kind of helps release some of that pressure. And, it's so comforting to know that I can just go there and say, hey, we're having these symptoms, and then they know where to work. They know where to help. If I've been experiencing some extra headaches, which I have been, postpartum, just helping release things and tension up in my neck. I'm not sleeping in the best positions if I'm breastfeeding at night, and, if I fall asleep or just sleeping strange, and just the strain of carrying, car seats again, and, still managing my other children while I'm healing. So, it's just a lot of things that are needing attention, and so they know where to work when you are in communication with your chiropractor of what's going on. My newborn here she's a very spitty baby and gassy and things like that, and so she just helps manipulate some areas, make sure there's no blockages, just kind of feels on her tummy and her low back and up in her her spine and her upper neck area. And that's just my general experience has just been, it's been a proof that the whole body, yes, it can heal itself. It's amazing if you actually look, and I've learned this about teeth too, which, man, I wish I could talk about all this stuff all the time. Learning about that even your teeth are correlated to different organs in your body. So if one of them is dead or dying, or you had a root canal, or you had it pulled, or it's infected, maybe you're having health symptoms because something is wrong in your mouth and it's affecting that organ. I learned that the wisdom teeth that they say you always need to have pulled out, I had mine pulled out, is actually correlated to the thyroid and adrenals. Well, no wonder so many people are having thyroid and adrenal problems and suffering with that. It's probably because they had their wisdom teeth pulled, or there's some ongoing infection in that area. And so the same is true for the spine. When you are out of alignment, it's affecting different areas, and it depends on where you're out of alignment. So, you can go and look up a chart for, how it's all correlated and related. So, the upper part of the spine in the cervical area, that has things to do, obviously, in the areas of the neck, the shoulders, your tonsils, your vocal cords. I'm looking at it right now on my computer. Your nose, your lips, all of that stuff. Possible symptoms, you could be having, excessive acne, you could be having runny noses, a hay fever, laryngitis, just sore throat, stiff neck, bursitis, colds, thyroid conditions, headaches, insomnia, dizziness, high blood pressure, nervous, all these things. Oh yeah. Are affected when things are not in alignment. Then you have the thoracic spine, which is in the center of the spine area. So those are connected to like gallbladder and liver and stomach and pancreas and lungs and kidneys and all of that. And so if you're having any kind of symptoms in those areas of like, do you deal with, in terms of like lungs, like asthma, coughing, ulcers, allergies, kidney problems, gas pains, skin conditions, indigestion, things like that. And then you have the lumbar spine, which is the lower section, and those are things to do with like constipation and cramps and backaches, which makes sense. If you have restless leg, if you have weakness in legs, there could be poor circulation going on. Bedwetting it even helps with, and menstrual things, menstrual periods. And then basically in the lower is the sacrum and the coccyx, which is your hips, your bones, your rectum, and your anus. And so if you're struggling with hemorrhoids, which I had a little minor one after this baby, actually, for the first time. That was different. But you could be having some sacroiliac conditions, which is just like some lower back major issues. Curves that are not supposed to be there. Pain at the end of your spine when you're sitting. So there could be some major things going on. And so they're all connected to those different areas of the body which are giving you those symptoms. And so don't disregard them and just think that, I just need to take a pill for my headache, or having allergies and things like that. Like, what is the underlying cause? Maybe you could actually just reduce needing some of that stuff. Asthma, inhaler, like maybe you don't need it if you got some consistent chiropractic care. And so upfront in the beginning, generally the rule of thumb is you need to go in frequently, and it won't be like that forever, but it's frequent because your body is so used to living a certain way, with like, basically it adapts to your subluxation, your misalignment. So subluxation is in misalignment of the spine, when your spine is out of alignment. So if you hear that word, that's what it means. And so your body's so used to living in that chronic pain that it's adapted and made adjustments for it. So you're just used to it. And so it needs to be trained, just like we talked about the brain in the beginning of this podcast. It needs to be retrained to hold a new position in proper place so that things can function properly. So you'll need to go in more on the upfront multiple times for your body to get used to holding the adjustment, because you're going to be adjusted, and then your body's going to want to revert back and pop back to its normal position and place, because that's what it's used to. But once it starts to be manipulated and trained to be holding a better adjustment, it's going to learn that, we want to stay here and we're not going to move. So I hope that kind of makes sense. So it's training and manipulating the body and the all of the systems to want to hold that adjustment, so that you can start having your body better communicate with itself. So newborn, I usually bring them in a little bit more often, or if for sure we're dealing with, I have something that I'm trying to deal with, I want to go in more frequent, just so that my body can begin to hold those adjustments, so I don't have to go as much and things start to function better. So I hope that made made sense. And again, I'm not a chiropractor, but I feel enough knowledge, enough experience as a patient to speak truth to it and encourage others to look into it for themselves. Talk with a chiropractor. They're very knowledgeable in many areas, and I just don't want people to have the wrong assumption about chiropractors. So there's something, so like I said, for like pregnancy and certified and caring for pregnant women, that's the Webster technique. And there's something called the ICPA. It's the International Chiropractic Pediatric Association. So they deal with pregnancy and children. And you can look that up online, and you'll be able to find somebody in your area that that specializes in that. So you would be able to find that in your area. But again, it's just manipulating the body in ways to allow it to better communicate with itself, so that you can be set up for success, that you would be able to have your body and mind and nervous system and all the things functioning correctly and communicating and firing well, so that you're not struggling with chronic things anymore. I mean, it's crazy what people have, what they go through, and with the help of chiropractic care, how much it has helped. Here's the name. It's one of the things. So when I was saying, I'm just pulling up one other area of notes that I had. It's called acupressure. So when I was talking about the pressure on a tomato, like that's the kind of pressure you would apply to like a baby's upper neck area or their spine or whatever. It would be called acupressure. It's massage, light traction, and they use those little instruments sometimes, like that one that was around the neck. There's no twisting, there's no popping of a children's spine, none of that. So I have always felt in good care. My children, I always have felt that they've been in good care. So you want to make sure that you have one that's very specialized in pediatric care, and cranial sacral therapy. That also, so if you have a child, some children have the flat head, some, there's manipulations that you can have your baby have right from the get-go, that sets them up for the best success. And if it was a traumatizing birth, for sure, like if they were stuck, or if it was a long pushing or whatever, like you probably want to have your baby taken in. And please know that it's never too late. Like if you're just learning about this, like it is okay. Like, it's better to start when you have the knowledge and you've decided that you want to try it. Do it. Like you're not too late. And it can help so much. My kids have not been very colicky. They're great sleepers. Kids will be kids. And so, chiropractic isn't going to fix everything, but it's going to come alongside my kids as they are getting older. My two boys are very active. And so just, really making sure that they are just checked every now and again. They go about once a month, my almost 4-year-old and my 6-year-old, because so much is developing. I mean, in reading, your children's brains are so soft and being sutured together. It's not fully developed until they're like 18 years old, is what I read. I'm trying to see if I can find where it said that. But yeah, it's crazy. And so just knowing how much chiropractic can help with all the nerves that are going on in the brain and in the, the cranial area, that are just responsible for, your baby's sense of, movement. Here you go, honey. Yes. And, just their taste, their salivating, their swallowing, their heart function, their lung function, head and shoulder movement. So if you are breastfeeding, like just knowing that if you're struggling, maybe you want to look into chiropractic care and just seek that out. Is your baby getting sick a lot? Are they struggling with breathe? Maybe they need airways opened. Maybe they need, maybe they're just always gassy and just really cranky because maybe they need help opening up an area that's just like not allowing them to poop or pass gas. I don't know. I try to think of it in layman's terms in my own brain of like, I don't know exactly where, but I think that she's super gassy. So just, I explain it to my chiropractor in hopes that she kind of gets what I'm laying down and she knows exactly where to check. and even for myself, I can go in, and it's a neat thing when the patient and the chiropractor can work together. I think that is such a beautiful thing, because sometimes I think that we're so in tune with, like, they tell us what to do at the doctor's office. They tell us what we need. They give us routine checkup and all this stuff, and we aren't feeling like we can have a good conversation, or we feel dumb when we say something, and like we don't know what we're talking about, and we just need to listen to the doctor. And I feel like with chiropractic care, it's a beautiful thing that, like, the patient and the expert can come together and work together, and the patient doesn't have to feel judged or dumb or ill-informed, because let's face it, we know our bodies really well, especially us women. Like, I feel like we're always really in tune with our bodies. Like, we have a lot that goes on each month in our bodies, and then when you have babies and you have to help care for kids, you just know a lot about bodies and things. And when you're like, something feels off, it's probably true. You go with your mom instinct, your gut instinct. So I wanted to just touch on chiropractic care, what it looks like for kids, that it's super gentle, and my kids love it. It's super sweet. I have pictures of them as they were babies to now being older, laying on the table, or being, just it's neat to see the transition and all of that over the years, and that I'm still bringing, now my fourth child in for that kind of care, because I believe in it, and it has probably avoided many things that I don't know were ahead. And again, I'm not here to say that it fixes all of those things. It prevents all those things 100%. But I will hands down say that chiropractic care has definitely set up all of my children and all of my pregnancies for success. When, especially when I was training for the marathon and I was pregnant, it was like, can you please just work on my pelvis? Because of course it's going to be out of whack. I need help keeping it strong, keeping it in place. I always deal with a little bit of sciatic pain in my left side of my pelvis. It's at some point in my pregnancy, I forget. It might be when I reach like the 30-week time. But it's always the same feeling, and it's just this dull, like, ache and pressure point that, like, I just always want her to work on it every time. So I hope this was helpful. Again, I will link to things. If you have more questions about it, or that we live local to each other, I'm happy to help give recommendations of a few that I know and trust 100%. With my body and my children's bodies, and I'll be able to link to a couple things that will be of help for you to educate yourself more aside from this podcast. I mean, like I said, I would love to bring the expert onto the show, and she has already said she'd be willing, so I just have to make the time for that, and figure out what it looks like to have two people chatting back and forth here, and get that scheduled. But for now, just wanted to generally share the ins and outs of what I have researched and personally experienced chiropractic to be, and how it has helped me and my family. And little Estella here, right? Here you go. So I appreciate you being patient with me, as well as having these little noises in the background. But again, this is life, and we're here doing it together, and at least she's not screaming on here the whole time. So with that being said, I hope that you guys took a lot away from this. Please share it with anybody that you know. Tag me in your stories or in posts, and I look forward to coming back to you next time to chat again. All right, bye guys.